I'm ready. Hot as fucking there. Maybe because I came from yoga.
Roman.
You think?
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Nade. Say hello, my day. Say hello. Say hello. It's my day. Thank you, my day. You guys okay?
Yep.
All right, so today I'm really excited to get my man who's like been my backbone for whenever I needed anything. He was the go-to guy, and he wrote a book called Make It Happen, which is perfect, right? Because that's what he does, and he's been an executive in hip hop from pretty much the beginning. And it's funny how hip hop executives and hip hop entrepreneurs are famous. Like, they don't sing. Like, why should they be famous? Like, why am I famous? Or why is so many of them, Jamin Dash and others, famous? And Kevin has always played the side. Like, he never really tried to seek the limelight. And in fact, he's hidden from it. Thought it was better for him to be more effective. So everything was aimed at the teamwork. So I want to have him on today, and I want to hear from him. Talk about our history. We have a rich history together. I want to hear from him, his experiences building Def Jam. He was the president of Def Jam. Now he's the executive of the year. He just won the award in Billboard, the executive of the year. And so he's running 300, which is probably the hottest hip-hop company in the game. So we'll hear from Kevin right now as he comes. Let me see if he'll chime in, because he's supposed to. Not yet. Wait. Oh, a lot of people are trying to get on, but wait, where is he? No, Kevin's not on yet, but he'll be on. But it's Kevin Lyles we're going to talk to. I'm going to talk about the history of Def Jam and play some of the music, the images of the I was thinking the articles that were written, so many transitions from hip-hop being one thing to slightly different, all because of Kevin's efforts. He actually created so much and helped to execute so much that, I don't know, it's like mind-boggling that he's not, doesn't seek it again, not really looking for fame like most executives in other industries, but in this industry, he's done so much, and he's been represented when it comes to how this business got to where it is. Lawal from Hawaii. Yes, positive vibes to you too. Let me see where he is. Let's see. Adrian's on. Adrian must know Kevin.
Yeah. Hot as fuck. It is hot. It's not me, right? Adrian.
Hey, man. How y'all doing, man?
I'm good. I was waiting on Kevin Lyles.
Salute, man.
That's your dude, right? People don't all know as much about him. He's executive of the year this year now. And he has the hottest company in the game right now.
Did you know he had a street named after him in Baltimore?
Yeah. Oh, he's definitely an icon in Baltimore because he's done so much for the community. He's an activist, which is what I admire most about him. The work that he does and the compassion he exudes. Go ahead, tell me.
Great guy. Does so much during holidays. He does a big back-to-school initiative. He's been doing it for years. I mean, the whole town comes out, like at the mall, like Security Mall. And, I mean, it's dope. And, I mean, the dude, man, is that. I mean, when you think about him and, like, Frank Johnson, you know, you think about WEBB. And then when you think about Def Jam, right, and I watched the whole movement and how, you know, you're right, you never saw him, but you always saw a flow. You always saw perfection. You always saw things work and pop. So I can't wait. I'm tuned in.
Let me see where he is because I'm really excited to talk to him.
Indeed.
Josh and Lobby and all these people, but no Kevin. Where is? Because I spoke to him only a minute ago, and I said, Kevin, you want to do this now? Because we're going to go back and find the archives and the things that, and then, you know, we edit it. So
that's
I can't
dope.
send him a request, and he can't send me one because he hasn't yet come in.
Run just was on Fat Joe. He just was on Fat Joe talking about, you know, Fat Joe just saluting him on, you know, what Run DMC did for hip hop. Like, you got Fat Joe bigging you up. He was like,
Oh, I
man, I
love
was in
that show.
8th grade. I didn't even know
Man,
what hip hop was.
well, one day I'll have.
Yo,
Well, I'm just
Fat
waiting
Joe
on
is.
Kev. I don't know where he is. What's early?
I had to
So
put
I
my.
said at 10 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock now for him. What time is it? I'm a little early. That's okay. I like what you said about Kevin. The work that he does in, I almost forgot, the work that he does in Baltimore is so important, and the community loves him for it. He's kind of a hero in Baltimore. And when I go there with him and I see the work he has done and the people whose lives he's affected, it makes me proud to have been in some way a part of his growth, you know.
Because
and
of
so
you.
I'm excited to hear from him today.
And you know what's amazing is that, excuse me, I had to switch glasses. Is that when you
Hold on one second, man. I'm sweating like a slave. And we're gonna edit. You know, we're gonna use this footage. We've been rehearsing.
Mm-hmm.
We've been rehearsing all of these interviews, just set up so that we can, you know, and when we launch, we want to do it, you know, around the time of the book and around the time of the programs and around the time of the opening of the school and around all these things together. So I'm getting used to listening. I talk too much on this thing. I gotta listen. So I'm rehearsing. And I think Kevin will be a good one because I really want to hear from him. What do you say, bro?
Your talking is excellent, man. Listen, the jewels that you drop, man. I mean, I say it all the time. It helped me finish my product. I'm doing meditation. I'm doing yoga. I want you to keep talking. I'll be listening. I have a pen and a pad, man. And just like when Kev get on his phone, he is who he is in terms of his.
Well, when Kev comes, I gotta be silent and listen to him.
Yeah, but he
I see
learned
Michael
from.
Eric Dyson on here. Let
Oh,
me
the
see
guy.
where he is.
All right, cool. I'm gonna listen.
Well, all right. Let me talk about him with my buddy here, because he's not here yet. But I know Michael knows all about him.
All right,
I'll call you later. I'm gonna get Michael Eric Dyson on here.
I'm listening. All right, salute. All right.
Yeah, if I could ask Michael about Kevin. Waiting for Michael. Yeah. Declined? Michael, if you don't get on here. Oh, there's Kevin. All right. So, my man is, I was talking about you, Kev, before you got here. And another dude from Baltimore got on and talked about all the work you do. So,
what's good, man?
So Marcia and Michael Dyson are on here.
Okay.
Right. And so anyway, I was talking about you singing your praises, and this brother got on and reminded me. I was so busy talking about all your accomplishments in music and how you had been, you taught a lesson to a lot of the entrepreneurs. They were always seeking the limelight, and you were always behind so much work that got done. And that they would watch you and they realize that the humble attitude that you took and the hard work that you put in, they're gone. Some have come, been famous, and gone. And you just keep going. So congratulations, first, Record Executive of the Year, Billboard.
Russell, you know, I rather take a reward for being of service than an award for something that I did. So, you know, I'm not really, I'm excited. You know, I joke with people. I said, you know, we're the #1 independent label in the country, but why aren't we the #1 independent label in the world? Why are we not servicing more creatives around the world? Why are we not being more of a company about changing culture and being a social responsible company? And so, you know, to me, as I appreciate the accolades and things, but there's so much work for us to do politically, financially, education-wise, that I just want to go to work. I want to build schools, have people figure out how they can be entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs and be of service.
Well, Kev, let me say this. Today, I want to talk about all your contributions. We can always talk about, like, there's a school there, international school. The only thing you can see from my property in the forest, you know, there's all the stuff I'm building. There's a school there called the International School.
Yes.
And I've been talking to Marcia, who's on here now, about the Def Jam University. She changed it to Def Jam Cultural Institute.
Mm-hmm.
And we
Love
talk
it.
about happiness, and we talk about, and we want to make it an online school. Kids learn online. A lot of kids are now hooked on studying online, and then to get out and then come home, it'll be even easier for them to study online, maybe travel with their parents or whatever. So the Def Jam Cultural Institute, which I talked to you briefly about, is something we can talk about, and we can talk about all the other service and all the other community work you do, and we can talk about your work with the Democratic Party that you've done, and what the work you're doing now to improve our condition as people of color and as people in general. But I want to start with your music, and I want to tell a quick story, but then I want to hear your voice.
Okay.
The story is of a person who worked in the street team and then worked as an intern and then kept by service, not by putting his hand up or putting his hand out, but by working. And he just kept improving, and people kept pointing at him. He never had to tell us anything. He just became what we needed. And at one point, this is the great ending of the story, because I want you to talk. But Kevin was the vice president of promotion, and his boss told us that Kevin was his boss and that Kevin should be the president of the company. And everybody in the company agreed, because as a servant, you keep giving. And as a leader, you're a giver. And I learned that from watching Kevin. So that's a statement about his character, what makes you different from pretty much any record executive I've worked with. You always looked out for the team, you know, and so I think that's an inspiring moment, because you would make sure everybody bring the coffee and you bring the direction for those who are his boss. Said, why don't we try it this way? They're like, oh shit, I'm gonna do it that way. You know what I mean? He told me all the time, Russ, you ever think? No, I didn't think that shit. No, I'm gonna do that constantly. You did that, and that would made you a leader and a president, even though, and you said, I don't want to be the president. It might ruin the corporate culture. You didn't want to be. You remember that? You tried to turn down the presidency of Def Jam because you thought it might affect the team. But you didn't realize the whole team had already approved and was excited that you would be the president, because you were their leader. So that's the end of that story. Tell us how you came in, because I'm going to edit this and make this, and then we'll make it to an episode that travels, and people don't all know you.
Yeah, you know, sometimes I struggle with remembering everything, Russell. You know, you're talking, I started when I was 16, and I'm 52 now, so that's 36 years. But to my recollection, I actually got into the rap world when I had a fight with one of my best friend's cousin. And, you know, we started fighting on some bullshit. And he said, yo, but you rap, don't you? I'm like, yeah, I mess around, whatever. He said, well, we got this group called New Marks, and we want to start rapping. We was a DJ group. And so with that, you know, God said, you know, be an artist, learn an artist. And the whole "Girl, You Know It's True" thing happened with Milli Vanilli. I actually posted something. I opened up. Will Smith and Jazzy Jeff actually opened up for us in Baltimore. We were so big in Baltimore. They actually opened up for us. But I opened up for Run DMC, LL Cool J, Salt and Pepper, all our friends, you know, when they came through the Mid-Atlantic area. And I knew what I felt I was missing. Being
Say
an
the name of the group again.
New Marks, Numarx. Shout out
There's
to
no video,
Beatmaster Moj.
Is there any video?
By the way, we never shot a video, but there's clips of us. I'll make sure you get some of the copies of the thing. But you know, it's 5 of us. We used to DJ in the whole thing, and the moment that somebody took my song, and so I'll set the mood for you. Everybody knew me, everything. I'm laying home in the bed. I don't know if it's 18, whatever it was, 17. And this girl says to me, yo, Kev, they playing your song. And I had a little ego back then. I said, you know, yeah, I know they play it all the time on the radio. You know what I mean? I'm big. She said, no, it's on MTV. Now, so I wake up and say, MTV? I never made a fucking video. What the fuck means on MTV? And that was the moment that I saw Milli Vanilli singing my song, Girl, You Know It's True. And it was at that moment, Russell, I said, I don't want to be in the music business. I want to be in the business of music. I never want what happened to me to happen to anybody else. And I remember, honestly, and you don't remember this because at that particular time, you were just this figure of inspiration for African American wanting to be successful. And I didn't know you that way, but I knew Wes Johnson. And Wes Johnson was your senior vice president of marketing and promotion. Wes Johnson actually played my records as a DJ before you hired him. And I went to Wes and I said, yo, Wes, I'm the best down here. I got to learn this business shit. You know what I mean? Because somebody stole my song. He said, yeah, I saw that, man. He said, but you should be getting paid. I said, no, I'm suing to figure it out right now, to learn the business of music. So I said, well, Wes, you know I know this area, and I heard y'all got something called a regional or something like that, and y'all figuring stuff out. He said, yeah, but you're not ready for that. You know, you have to intern. And then my ego came out again. I'm already making money. I already got a studio, already, you know, traveling around. My ego coming out. I'm already in school for electrical engineering on scholarship, and my ego coming out like, intern? Why would I work for free for somebody? And then God talked to me at that moment and said, because you're going to learn from the institution of hip hop and be of service. And so I said, you know what? Cool, I'm going to intern. He said, well, Kev, I'm going to send Kevin Mitchell, a guy from Boston. I'm going to send him to the Mid-Atlantic because he'll be in the Mid-Atlantic regional. Ego comes out again. He don't know more than me. Well, how he going to come in my marketplace? Shut up, Kevin, and serve. And then I remember Kevin Mitchell calling me one day, and I was at a marketing company, you know, just hustling, making money. And Kevin Mitchell said, Kev, I can't get in to see this DJ. And Wes told me if I don't get in to see this DJ, I'm gonna be fired. I said, where are you? He said, Baltimore. I said, who are you trying to see? He said, Frank Ski. I said, Frank. I said, you mean Frank Ski, like V103, like my man, Frank Ski. So I said, hold on. I said, Frank, my man gonna bring you some stuff. You know, let him up, come see him, do what he tell you to do. Bam. He went up to see Frank. And it was at that moment, Kevin Mitchell, the next week, remember we used to have those weekly conference calls, those calls where we got on and talk. Kevin said in front of the whole room, he said, my intern better than all of us. My intern got me in the stations. He do everything I asked him to do. I don't have to tell him. And it was at that moment that I said, oh, we're going down the wrong road. So y'all moved Kevin Mitchell up to director. He took Barbito's job because Barbito was moving out. He took Barbito's job as head. And then Kevin would always talk to me the whole thing. And so somebody had to take the Mid-Atlantic job. And so I remember getting a call from Julie Greenwald. Julie calls and says, because she was Wes's assistant, and says, yeah, you know, Leah and Wes, and I think it was David, who was the president then? David Halston. Well, everybody was there, and they said, well, you should come up and interview for the job. I said, ego, interview for the job? I was the job. The reason Kevin got up to, I was the job. It was all me. No problem. I'm going to come interview. And I was taught, Russell, that no matter what industry you're in, you put your reports together, your packaging, you put a suit on.
I saw, Kev, you know, you keep reminding us that you had this ego. All I ever saw. I mean, maybe the way you played me, because you always humble, always worked hard at everybody else. Always, like I said, you were the guy to bring the coffee. You always would do the other man's job. So that's why I think you became a leader. Like you said, you brought him up to see Frank Ski. That was his job, but you did it for him, right? Yeah. And you did that for so many people. It felt like you never really had an ego attached to it. Maybe you may have grown since then, but it feels like Russell, it felt to me the entire time like you never once asked for the accolades.
Yeah, but we
expected a raise or a shift or in your position. Go ahead.
Yeah, but we all have egos. And so what I would be remiss if I did not be honest with everyone's listening to say that, you know, it's okay to have it, but it's not okay to share it. And instead of sharing my ego, I shared my service. And that ego pushed the sharing of service even more. But it'll be a falsehood to say that I did not think. I'm from the street, Russ. Everything was.
But by not sharing it, that's humility. That we look. It's not a false humility. It's a real level. You know, you check yourself because you realize what was important was your service and not you know, the fact that you, like you said, you felt ego. I never saw it come.
You'll never, you'll never see it. You'll never see it to this day. And I tell you, it taught me. But I realized service at a very so I had you saying serve. I went through serving of the artist community as an intern, and always making sure everybody had anything. And so it was no way that when I came up to New York in my suit with my briefcases and everything, that I wasn't leaving without getting a job. Now, was I upset that I had to interview for a job that I was already doing? Ego talking. Yeah. Did I come into a room of people and I'm looking at, who are these people? I've never seen these people before. They interviewing for the job that I've been doing. I felt a certain way. Why don't they have on suits? Where's their presentation? Where's their I'm thinking all this stuff in my mind, but sitting there humble and ready to have my conversation. So saddest 3 months of my life, because I waited and was wondering, well, what's happening? But kept doing the job. Kept doing, because I didn't want nothing to. And then Julie calls again and says, Kevin, you know, we wanna hire you, and we want to pay you $30,000. And I'm like, oh, I think I can work with that. She hung up the phone and said, no, you'll work for that. Bye. So that started me. And I remember the first time I came up and we were in the hallway and you was like, yo, that's that nigga y'all telling me about that he everybody might know working for him, blah, blah, blah. You just went on and on about, and I'm like shaking like, yo, he not talking about me. He can't be talking about me, blah, 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 this. And so it was at that moment that I realized that through my work and through my service, if you really a true spiritual person, you never have to talk about yourself. Let your work speak for itself. So I put my head down even more, and all the conferences, we were at Jack the Rapper, and you said, yo, sit right here. And I'm like, what? I got to go to work. He said, we are working. We are working. Just the fact that me and you together and we're talking to people and we're handing out the T-shirts, we are working. You know, here you are, the chairman, handing out T-shirts with me in the lobby of Jack the Rapper. And you taught me that work is not a physicality. Work is just a place of being in yourself, no matter where you are. And so I realized that every day I'm working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to be of service to the culture. Fast forward, every artist wanted to come to my office when I came to New York. Y'all sit me on the West Coast. You had me do South Central Cartel and Mello. Open up the West Coast office. I remember that. Came back, wanted me to move to New York, and I can truly say the reason I didn't want to take the presidency, because I don't think I deserved the opportunity at that time, because I did not know the world. I didn't want to upset the infrastructure that you had, but you guys wanted me to disrupt.
Well, not only did we want you, Kev, the reason that we chose you for president, it was you or Julie. And it was kind of the same story for her, in that she was okay with you as president. She was so focused on what she did, just as you were so focused on what you did. What you did was serve the whole company. You always answered the questions for people in jobs that were not necessarily defined by you. So you would go out and give, you know, in each case, and they'd look at it as leadership, even if they were ahead of you. Like, again, Wes was your boss and recommended you to be his boss. Mm-hmm. He didn't try to be the boss. He wanted you to be the boss. And then everybody took that recommendation and thought that was a good idea. So that's how you became president, was everybody elevated you. And by you wanting to walk away from that, it made everybody that much more excited, because they knew that your service was honest and it was your intention was pure. That was a big deal to all of us. That's why I never forget that. I always think about you wanting to reject that offer from us because you thought it might, as you said, hurt the infrastructure. But instead, we all, of course,
I always joke, and as much as they say you and I look alike, I said, Russell's not my cousin, my uncle, my brother. We just cut from the same cloth in some way. And I wasn't married to Leor's kid or something. It was the true story of hard work and having a mentor. And I never felt, to be honest with you, Russell, I never felt that I worked for you guys, because you guys always made me feel like I was a partner and an owner in the company in anything we did. And I remember I can go to my wall right now and show you the first bonus check that you guys gave me in 93 or 94, something like that. First bonus check that I put it on the wall. This is the most money anybody ever gave me at one time. You know what I mean? And this was back then. And to talk about the selling Def Jam and Fat Farm, and you guys always saying, you know, whether you owned a piece, don't own a piece, you always own everything, you know, with us. And, you know, a lot of people don't get the opportunity to work for people like that. So I never felt like, I felt like I was coming to church to serve the pastor always. I never felt like I had a job, and that ability.
Let me interject. We were very lucky, Kevin. I've been lucky my whole life. I've done what inspired me, and you know, and I felt the benefits of that. Like other people, then they're inspired, and then that was where I got my blessings, right? So, and you had the same experience. So that's we're lucky to have chosen a profession and a cultural space where we belong. I felt I belong there. I mean, I'd wake up every morning and be excited. Just like today, I wake up and I'm excited, you know, about my work. And I think everybody should, you know, and the other thing is everybody, you have to learn also to like your work. Your work may be, you're a music person, but you're sitting at the accountant. You're a music person, but you building a stage. You're working on the internet. There's all kinds of parts of the process. You can't just sing. And that's the thing about you, Kevin. You didn't just sing. You didn't do one thing. You did everybody's job. So saying you loved it is something people have to learn to do about what's in front of them. Yogis just say, do what's in front of you and make no differentiation. Just enjoy it, right? So you chose a world. You put your head down and was very focused. And look what you've done. For you to this year be executive of the year. How many years ago? 92?
Yes, I started.
You came to work with us, 91?
Started you in 91, yeah. I listen. All I remember, it becomes a blur. I wanted to share a moment, another learning moment that you guys gave me. I had an idea, and you always allow me to take risks and do things. I had an idea to create something called the Deaf College Jam, and this was at Howard University. Biggie Smalls, Method Man, Onyx, EPMD, and Redman and Method Man, whatever it was. And so I said, I'm going to rent a museum, and I'm going to put the Def College Jam logo, like you had Def Comedy Jam, up on a building, and I'm going to throw the biggest party in Howard University's ever had. So 3,000 people inside, another 7,000 outside, $300,000 in damages later. I come up to New York to explain to you guys what happened. So Lear says, what the fuck were you thinking to throw a party?
Don't imitate Lear.
What the fuck were you thinking? I said, Lear, it's the Deaf College Jam. It couldn't be at the college. It had to be somewhere different where people never been and blah, blah, this. And you said, was it hot? I said, Russell, I had 7,000 people. Well, nigga, you did your job then. So it was.
Well, that was we were reckless a little bit.
Take the risk.
And I think I'm sorry?
I said, you said, do the job, take the risk. And only the slap on my wrist was make sure you get insurance next time. And that was such a blessing to me, because from that day forth, I always took the risk if I thought it was right. Got the insurance, but I always took the risk.
You learn. These are learning experiences. You have to take risks. Just what I say, once you even delving into your work is a spiritual practice that takes risk. So when you say, I'm a record executive, and you put blinders on, once you put the blinders on, again, sitting at the accountant, or all the work that you think is not the record work. It is. If you're building this, you go to work, you have a single pointed focus, and that's like giving up on everything else. It's a deeply spiritual thing. I don't like my job. You ever know somebody who always got a new job and never like it? Learn to like what's in front of you. You've chosen it. Now build it. And then there'll be the days that you love it. but there's going to be times when there's struggle and you want to give up. You never gave up, Kev, on anything.
Yeah, because I never felt, Russell, I was afraid to go to the West Coast and live out there for a year and not know anybody. I was afraid to come to New York where I heard there was 8 million stories and not have any family there. I was afraid to take on the presidency of how about this? I was afraid to leave high school football in 11th grade and fall in love with hip hop. But every fear, because I believe that inside me, God lives, every fear, I had a greater experience. I had a greater revelation of even what I thought I was doing. Like I didn't come to Def Jam to be the president. I came to be part of culture. When I became president, I didn't come to say everybody do what I say do. I'm the president now. I said, hey, how can I take this to a different level for us? When we merged to Island Def Jam, I said, how can I be of service? So I never took for what it was on the surface. I took on how I could serve it. And a lot of people go to work every day and they admit they're going to work, or they hate, whether they hate it or love it, they actually going to work.
This is it say that the sameness, the practice, when you go out every day and you take what's in front of you, and if we're really present and awake, there's no suffering, no sadness, and no separation from your work. The work itself is the prayer. The happiness comes from the work, being there and doing the work. And you are an example of that, because Kevin, there was always something that was out of whack, right? But like you say, out of whack, that's just the experience. The hard worker is like watching a movie. Whatever it is to get done, got to get done. Whatever got to get done, gets done, right? It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's supposed to be a pleasant experience or a sad experience. It doesn't matter. As you know, and this is why, I encourage everybody who's listening to buy Kevin's book, Make It Happen, because it's a deeply spiritual experience that he's been through and goes through, and his investment.
Do the plug. You remember that guy?
Yeah. Look at this.
300.
How skinny he is. Big ass Kevin.
Fat Kevin Lyles. Google it.
Yeah. Oh.
No, I tell you another thing that I want people to come across. You have to also look at your life and define the season that you're in. And so I always chose to make it happen. Through you, I chose to make a difference. And when I turned 50, Russell, I took inventory of my life, and I said, what would I like the next 25 years to look like? Or however long God allow me to be of service. And I said, I want to lead. I want to lead by example. I want to lead people to live their fullest life. I still want to learn, and I want to listen in a way that I've always have to the younger generation. And then I said, I want to love. I want to love every day. I want to love everybody I work with. I want to love every artist I'm able to serve. I want to love every opportunity. I want to love the conversation that you're having in the morning and I'm having at night, because I'm looking for something that maybe I haven't have answered, because this is therapy for us. We don't remember half the shit we went through. You know what I mean? But the conversation.
Def College Jam. I remember that. Well, I guess if you $300,000 in damage back then was a big number, but we were having so much fun. Yeah, we were reckless, and I say reckless not in a negative way. I mean, we had courage. You had courage, like in every one of those instances that you talked about, and how you recognize now that you had to overcome fear to get there, and in all those cases they all turned out pretty good. Yeah. So we're very, very lucky, but it has to do with focus and presence. Every second, everything that you do, all of it is geared towards your present moments. And each one where you did an excellent job, you were focused on the work, not whether it was a pleasant or unpleasant experience. You were there. And I keep saying that because that really is something that people don't understand. They want to judge their job and question whether they should be doing it. And it takes them out of the moment and takes them away from a good quality work. And you never let that happen.
No, listen, your resume is not what's on a piece of paper. Your resume is what you work, and your legacy becomes the things that people can point to. It doesn't have to be a building. It could be a moment. It could be a word. It could be a conversation. It could be an instance where you showed up when other people didn't. That to me, and I always realized that whatever I was doing, it wasn't for what I was doing. It was for a greater purpose. Whatever I meet and whatever I was serving, it was always for something, greater. And I grew up in an environment that you guys allowed me to, where I never had to ask. I never had to ask for a raise. I never had to ask to be part of this. I only said, how can I help more? What else can I do? And I always say, when you put yourself in that position, Russell, you don't have to. And again, I was blessed. That's not everybody's opportunity, but I was blessed for two people. I called you guys freaking frack to just allow the opportunity and said, hey, the more we get, the more we all get. The more Julie and I, me and Julie never looked at it like who's the boss, who's not that didn't matter to us. What mattered is that we could build a special company. What mattered was when you wanted to build Fat Farm and Baby Fat, that we executed the promotions around it. Whatever mattered was the Def Comedy Jam and flying people to New York and the program. What mattered is that we could be of service to the vision that you guys had. So God bless Julie and how we raised Mike Kaiser. He's
Look at Julie. Here you are. Let me just take a moment. People may not know her. It's kind of similar to him. If we're talking and this thing gets distributed, they say, well, who's Kevin Lyle? Well, he's Record Executive of the Year first. That's first. But he was Record Executive of the Year 25 years ago. Still Record Executive of the Year. And he keeps finding new talent. He's been a brilliant record executive for his entire career, and he's built so many careers. So that's who he is. And Julie, who worked with him, is now the most powerful woman in the record business, maybe ever, right? Absolutely. So there she is. There's the stuff that came from a little, you give a little, and then the next thing you know, everything around you grows. They say in Bali, you put the seed in, everything grows. All the hotels and all this stuff are built, like it grows once you touch ground. And that's how these guys are. I touched ground a little bit, and look what I saw. Kevin Lyles became this giant thing, and Julie became this giant thing, and Leo became this giant thing, and Brett. All of these people around me, I watched these people become these explosive cultural icons. And I was very fortunate to sit there, have a ringside seat, and do very little. And watch them all, affect industries and change. What you are doing now is continuously reshaping hip hop. Yeah. Those young kids look up to you and they see humility. It's a big deal. Well, they don't have a lot of that to look at.
Russ, I can today. I flew to Detroit. Jumped in and jumped out to sign T Grizzly's brother, along with Salim, Baby Grizzly, and he just came home, and then his mom just came home. So I had a moment in Detroit today where I said the reason why this was important, because a lot of times because of systemic racism, police brutality, or oppression, we don't get to come together as a family and get a second chance. God gave them a second chance and provided me an opportunity to do little, but have a ringside seat. I understand.
Well, that's nice of you. So, Kevin, the thing about when I say I did little, so I watched you, you never sat down. You say ringside seat, but you're always the first one there. So I appreciate that. But I want to talk a little bit, pivot a little bit off what inspired you, not only the work itself and being the management and the infrastructure and all of that stuff that you built and business plans that you put together, but the artists that you work with. I can remember, like you said, we don't remember it all. I remember you bringing Damon Dash and Jay-Z in my office. Remember that? And I'm like, and I was just talking to Foxy a few minutes ago, actually. And I was like, oh my God, I never heard nothing like that. And you were like, yeah. And it's like, that. This girl is amazing. You know, the guy too. I mean, and we were, Foxy Brown and Jay-Z came together when you walked in and brought Ain't No Nigga for the Nutty Professor soundtrack. Yeah. Right? So there's one example, but there's so many.
Well,
I heard DMX on the radio. I heard him on the radio. And I called the office to say, Leo, who the fuck? I didn't know he was signed. He said he signed already. I was sitting on the radio doing an interview, and the guy said, nigga talking shit, back the truck up. I said, who the fuck is that? And then he's not part of the locks, and I called.
Yep.
They said, we signed him. I went to the office from the radio. I was doing a radio talk about Fat Farm. I got to the office. They're playing me cuts off DMX.
Yep.
And this is what you were doing while I was running around doing Fat Farm or comedy. You were changing the world. And no one gives you the proper credit for it. I mean, the industry, we know you. Like,
right.
You're executive of the year. They didn't miss that. They didn't make a mistake on that. But, and you don't care to be celebrated in that way. But, we need our black icons. There aren't enough. And we need ones that are in culture and in spaces that kids care about to have humility, to have this kind of grace and to have this kind of work ethic and to go beyond the surface and show us how. So that to me is a big deal to be able to showcase that to anybody.
Yeah,
oh my God, this thing is falling. Can we move this shit? I've been selling this book, Kev. As you know, probably, right? It's not coming out for a month, but they're pre-ordering it.
Yeah, let's take some time.
I'm not going to bug you about it today because I'm always telling you go vegan. I tell you every time I talk to you off the record, But,
so let's take some time to also acknowledge some other people that I feel that during that period of time where you had that opportunity to go around. I remember my first assistant, Shanita Floyd, who we moved to Mix Show and now is running marketing, and Lauren Wertzer and Amani Duncan, who's now the president of an advertising agency, and Felicia Butterfield, who's now over.
Oh my God!
We can go around the list.
No, let's go around the table. Let's do it because all of these names are important to young people, and all of them put their head down and did so much work. And we were very lucky to be a breeding ground. Like I said, touch ground, and then everything grows. Look at the people. He said, Felicia Butterfield, my heart got soft. And you talk about Lauren Wertzer and all of these people who built that company and don't get credit. So, yeah, it's important to talk about Julie as the most powerful woman in the history of the record business. To talk about you all these years later, the record executive of the year. To talk about Leo, who is now running YouTube as maybe one of the most powerful music people there is on another level. Talk about the family that we built that went out into the world. Steve Carr became a great director and made all those giant mega hits. Brett Ratner, who became the funding partner of all of Warner Brothers movies and made God knows how many hit movies, all the Chris Tucker movies. And then talk about there's so many talented people that came up with you that you helped to mentor.
Yeah,
and now you see them. It's kind of shocking years later when you look back.
There was a moment in time, Russell. So, I lived I call it, the couple of phases of us. There was a moment in time when we were transitioning from Public Enemy, Todd, Beastie, all that into the next phase. And if it wasn't for Def Comedy Jam and Fat Farm and those things, when we were I would call it our cold period, we wouldn't be able to reboot. And so I want to understand that none of this happens by yourself, because we needed you as a voyeur into places that we were not comfortable with going, because, we were mono-focused on building the company, and it allowed us an opportunity. And then I just remember I was so blessed that you guys changed the philosophy and said, we're going to be an institution and we're going to help serve young entrepreneurs. So comes in Irv Gotti, comes in Damon J and Biggs, comes in DNY of Rough Riders, comes in Shaka and Ludacris for Disturbing the Peace. All these guys.
Well, you can't leave out Eric Thurman and Redman, all in the Def Squad. I'm not saying you would, but look at that was the most amazing thing that you were able to manage. We did it once and messed it up, but we loved all of them. We got Onyx out of it. We had a bunch of labels, Rush Associated labels. Then we folded it in. The next thing you know, we had these the Def Jam started to give opportunity to young entrepreneurs, and you managed the entrepreneurs who didn't know. Honestly, Irv Gotti is talented as shit, but he was reckless. He made choices that people coming out of the street would make that were not great, but you helped to manage that process. And Murder Inc. made all those giant hits. And Irv, God, what he did with Jay and DMX and others, he was a big part of all of their careers. And Damon Dash, he needed to be managed a little bit. Damon jokes, he says, I always was an asshole. I'm still an asshole. No, you've grown a lot, Damon. But all D and Y, what they did with Rough Riders, they hadn't done it before. And we had made some of the mistakes, and we were able to stop them from making some of the same mistakes. Is why I like having you on a platform like this and getting more people to see you, because you can prevent them from with generational curses, right? These are your kids. So raise them. In the record industry, you're raising them now, but they have to look to you and watch your humility and the way that you handle these situations. And maybe get insurance. Like you told them, like don't think, get insurance. Like no, oh, you did it too. Like why would somebody, do what you already did? You made that mistake, right? And next time you got insurance.
Yeah, I wanted to bring them up because at that point in time, we had a bunch of diverse thinkers, a bunch of people who worked differently, but we all saw the value in being a team. And a lot of, again, I really have to say, if it wasn't for Julie, Leora, Mike Kaiser, Wes Johnson, a Johnny Walker, Thomas, I go down the list of all the people who served, Rhonda and Tracy. I mean, you go down the list. It was a crew of people that really wanted the same thing, and that's wanted to serve a culture in a way. And even though we're not all together in the same place, I don't believe Def Jam would have became the institution if it wasn't for us understanding the appreciation of others. You hear from me, you get nowhere in life by yourself for a long period of time. You get nowhere in life by yourself. You can't have a kid by yourself. How about this? I don't believe to raise a well-rounded kid you can do by yourself. You might be able to be a father, you might be able to be a mother, but the community is going to help mold that kid also. And what we provided, I think, at Def Jam, because we needed, just like civil rights needed Malcolm and Martin, we needed a Kevin and a Damien. We needed a Irv and a D and Y. We needed a Scarface and a Shaka. You needed a Paul Outburst and on the West Coast and a Warren G. You needed a Chris Lighty. You needed these all different people who came and were of service, and we'd be remiss, no matter what, if we did not celebrate each other. People joke about me and Dame all the time. I think Dame was one of the greatest executives to ever put on a hat of starting a company, because he was really about what he wanted for his company, and he wanted it to be recognized for who they were. And I just want to thank all of it. Think about when we talk about Eric Sermon and the Def Squad. Think about when we decided to put Method Man and Redman together. So you had the Def Squad and you had Wu-Tang. You had to figure what that was out in the middle, and RZA and Power and Divine and all these guys. And even though we did not service every entrepreneur in hip hop, how we call it family ties, how Puffy was part of the family, how we just looked at guys. It wasn't just about Def Jam. It was about hip hop and about culture, and that to me, that kind of greatness just doesn't come from one person. So as much,
we weren't. I don't think we had it in us, because we were enjoying ourselves so much and we were so dedicated to the culture to be selfish. We didn't have it. Remember, we made the show and there was all these choices we had to make. We got to get out to the West Coast. We got to do Snoop. We got to celebrate Suge Knight. We had to, the work he was doing. We had to celebrate. Well, of course, we had Warren G out there, and we had stuff in the West Coast. But we had to make sure Biggie Smalls was in the show. He wasn't that big.
Yeah.
He had a hit, but we had to put Puffy and Biggie in the show.
Yes.
Right? We could have just serviced it with our own artists, but the idea of being all-inclusive to make the entire picture bigger, always felt that we were bigger because the picture was bigger. Even if we were a smaller part of it, it felt like we were part of a great movement. And hip-hop was a great movement, so we were proud of it. And that's how we became so big in it, because we loved it, the bigger picture, so much. And that was our experience. I mean, I look back, and I was thrilled watching. We put Craig Mack on the stage, and I remember cutting him into the movie in the beginning and watching Craig Mack. I was so proud, like I made the record. I didn't make the record. It wasn't our record.
Yeah.
Right? So it was, again, you said it, and I'm just repeating it. It's really true that we were so dedicated to the culture. And it wasn't a selfish thing, because we were having too much fun watching each other be successful.
Mm-hmm. And I think one of the important things, Russell, that I try to instill now with people, like, you can wear whatever jacket you want, you could carry whatever business card you want, but really you're the CEO of yourself. And I always knew I was of service for Def Jam and Island Def Jam and Warner Music Group and now 300. But at the end of the day, I'm the CEO of Kevin Lyles Inc. And I have to be, and my portfolio is 300 and Def Jam and all the things that I have to be the best me in order for me to have the best portfolio. And so I try to push to young people that I can't have the best company without the best people. So if you are not at your best, the company will never be the best. And
I used to smile because Kevin's humility and sweetness was on one level, and then he'd be like, he gotta go. So I'm sorry, you got to learn something. You're fired. I hope you do better. I would be, we got to get rid of him. I'm so worried. What about his family? Listen, we have a team. Kevin, you always would talk about the team. You say, this is a big picture here. This guy can't hold a whole team back. And then you would replace them, and then mostly you mentored people to be better, and they fit their role. But if it was a case where someone can't fit their role, Kevin put the foot right to that ass. Not mean.
Gotta go.
You gotta go. Kevin would say to us, "You gotta go." Like, wow.
I remember.
You gonna do it?
No.
My bitch asked me, "Are you gonna do it?" You said, "I have to."
No names, but somebody did something one day, and I said, Russell, in order to take the company where I think you guys want to take the company and what you charged me to, we can't have this kind of thing happening. So y'all gonna have to make a decision. And so the person calls Russell, and Russell said, "What the fuck you calling me for? Call Kevin." It's whatever. It's whatever. Because Russell didn't want that smoke. Russell didn't want to find nobody.
I don't like it. I don't like firing people. But, you know, they need to learn, and we all move on. And God gives us all this struggle so we can get better.
Yeah.
You have to execute on a promise. If you're trying to be better, you have to put up boundaries. You have to make these statements. You know, it's a toxic feminine trait, you know, not to tell the truth, you know, and Kevin, you're compassionate and loving, like your divine feminine shines right through your skull. I can see it, you know, and your balance. You know, it's that you have to be able to say, "I'm sorry." You got to say it, and you
with a smile,
were able to say it.
With a
smile. Boundaries for everybody, huh?
With a smile.
A smile. Oh yeah.
I'm sorry you can't work here anymore. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. He wants some coffee. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, Kevin put to that ass. So anyway, Kevin, I wanted to talk about all the music and stuff, you know, but you really ran all the companies, kind of like they all had to come through you to get all the resources of Def Jam. So as president of Def Jam, you were kind of president of all the companies, because you had to make the assessment. And that was always a struggle, of course. Where's the budget going? Is it going to be this DMX album? And when is that date and scheduling? And oh my God, the amount of work that you guys had. I'd come into office, and a lot of times, you know, I would just, that sounds good. It was so much time and effort to put these things in place. So much, you know, so much planning. So many smart executives. You mentioned some of them. You know, you and Julie and Leo and the team that you guys put together, Chris Lighty and the whole team, the family, the Russian Def Jam family we had was, again, we went back, we talked about these great people in Hollywood, these great people in television or film, I said, but also in other industry, but mostly throughout this industry, they're spread out. They've taken over. And that's a testament to the work that you guys did and the mentorship you did for those people.
I think Russell, what 300 has afforded me this time is we're more educated. We're more finance. We have more ability to maneuver, and we have the #1 music in the world. Now, I'm not going to get on a soapbox or anything, but while having the #1 music in the world, there's still a lot of work for us to do. We have to push entrepreneurship inside our organization, so we have people of color at the top in the C-suite.
People don't say that. Entrepreneurship inside our organization.
Yeah, it's called
That's a very important phrase because people don't think of young innovation and innovators and risk takers as executives for their company. But they need them. That's the freedom that you have to give people. The mistake that you said you made by not having insurance. Well, how could you know? You're just a kid. So now you know. You know what I mean? So now you know. But that celebrate those people who would take those chances, because that's how my company didn't get because of me. It's because all the talented people like that went wild, that made those mistakes, that made those choices. Mm-hmm. That's how I survived in every industry. There was always somebody smarter than me, every business. TV and film, Stan Lathan was brilliant. The jewelry, Scott Roush, and film and television, I mentioned, but financial service, David Rosenberg, always someone smart. Even if it was my idea in the beginning, I couldn't execute it.
Right.
In a lot of cases, in poetry, to find that kid, and in comedy, to find Bob Sumner, and in film, even just recently, in the films we made with Jake. I mean, it really was always about the people around me. Always. And you know that. Mm-hmm. That's what makes you special. That's why you can keep going. Yeah. You don't have to be the youngest one in the room. No. You know the youngest one in the room. And you've empowered him. I went to your office. I went to his office. I want to tell everybody who's listening, his office is a culture. It's alive. It's a thing. You go in there, you feel like we felt Def Jam. People are excited to be there. They're excited about the artists on the label. It's not work there. You build a corporate culture full of people who are excited to serve in the same way from leadership down. You've given that. That's what 300 is. For those who don't know, one day there should be some video on 300. When I went in there, I could just feel electricity. This was recently. So that's why you're executive of the year, because you empowered people.
Yeah, I'm in the midst of employee reviews now, and I had two things happen to me. One thing, a veteran in the industry that's a part of my partner group said, man, I was at such and such company for 11 years. I never was reviewed. And you, Kevin, you really take the time out to review everybody every year, 60 people.
You've been doing that since we were kids. When we were kids, you were doing that shit. That's not that way. Kevin's old, yeah.
I was taught that way. And then another young lady.
And that's how you mentor people, by you point to things they could do better and you show them how. That's why you had made president, even though you didn't want to be, because you were showing everybody how to do their job. You were their leader as a servant to them. Mm-hmm. And that's the kind of servant you are now as a leader. Yeah. Kind of leader you are as a servant. That's
it's so
impressive. Employee reviews, you just did it. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, so you had one end of a veteran who never had reviews before, and then you had a young girl fresh out of college, first job. She said, when I interned for you guys, because like 24% of the people who actually are employed at 300 are former interns. You know what I mean? So we make sure that box is checked by giving them opportunity. But a young lady says to me, when I interned for you guys, I made it a mission that my first job and my only job, hopefully, will be at 300. And I hired her like 6 or 7 months ago. So I'm doing her first review today. And she sent me a document that reminds me of all the stuff that I used to do back in the day. And it was sort of like a dossier of why she should be an employee at 300. Not her resume. This was something she worked on and now she heads about a digital revenue for YouTube because she's an expert at what she do. But she came in intern, dreamt about it, and said her first job has to be. And how does that make me feel in a review to see that I was able to make what she put in writing 2 years ago come true? And that is part of what gets me excited every day and gets me to come on. Not that I'm the boss. The tip really told. I asked Raina and Celine, the two of my executives. I said, can I make a suggestion? I'm the CEO. I say, can I make a suggestion? Here's what y'all make the decision. And
then they tell you, fuck out of here. They say, yeah, good idea. Fuck out of here. We're not doing that. And you're like, okay.
Right.
Because that's the thing, Kevin. That's what empowerment's about. You got smart people. You give them a suggestion or two, and they think about it and they push back. And that's beautiful. That's how Def Jam was built. Like the risk takers. I keep going back to it. We don't want people to work for us and not enjoy their work and not have input in their work and not be. It doesn't make sense. And many companies, most companies, I should say, are run that way. They're not empowerment opportunities. They're stifle people.
No, they're employment.
To the extent that they just do what the boss. That's why they make no mistakes, because the guy on the ground is not giving you the proper input. You're the guy on the ground. You said, oh, you want to meet my man at the radio. Now, of course, we all know Frank now, but no one could get in. You got him in. That was you were on the ground. And to recognize the next person on the ground and then give that person the opportunity, that's a very special corporate culture. That company, 300, was so impressive when I went in there. I mean, I want to work for them somehow. I want to one day be useful because it was just so much fun. Those kids are so exciting. I have my company's like that. Gush Cloud is like that.
Yes.
What we do all over the world is all bunch of young people. And our CEO, Althea, is young herself. So I'm the chairman, and I watch her go to work, and I give her input, and I help her with deals, and I help her do all this stuff, and I plug her into people. But her job is to have all the regionals, all the countries around the world that we work, there's 13 of them now. She makes sure that those people feel empowered. And when I've been in some of the offices in China and in different places, and in each case, they're excited to come to work. And I think that's, and that's part, I think I help with that a little bit. And I got that from you and from our experiences. And that's kind of what you can pass along to young executives. You don't stifle people, empower them and listen to them. I'm learning. It takes time to learn to listen. A lot of executives, they want everything done the way they envision it, and they haven't even been on the ground in many cases, in many places. I can't go to Vietnam and tell them how to run that operation, or the Philippines. Mm-hmm. So, but we can say, take some chances. You got a budget. Here's how we do it in Singapore. That's all we can say. And here's why it's successful in Singapore. You take the time with the executive and you show them. They're young lawyers. In Asia, everybody's a lawyer. They don't have to go through other stuff before law school. They go right to law school. So they're really working in culture and working in culture and art, but they have law degrees. So they're mostly, you think they would be stiff, but we pushed them out of their zone and pushed them into this freedom that makes them more creative executives. We got a lot of young, talented people, like 300. I wanted to say that because I don't know if you've been in any of the offices. When you come to Singapore, I bring you to the office. Those kids are clapping, jumping up and down, laughing, excited, thrilled when the artists come in the office. They're like, oh shit! They're excited about what they do, and that electricity doesn't exist many places. So I think we've been lucky, to have had the experience. You fall on some shit. Some shit just happened. And then you're like, oh, I'm going to keep doing that, right?
That's
you didn't
right.
plan that. I didn't know. You're the boss. And then one day you learn from Kevin, you're the servant. And as being a servant of these people has taken you further than being their boss. So that's the experience.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's been, the funny thing, man, at where I'm at right now, I feel like I'm 34 and it's 94. Because we do have the #1 music. I want to, part of our legacy, Russell, is to continue to extend our lineage down throughout and build some more great companies, provide more opportunity. And I said, I have a mission that, shout out to John Platt, who's now the head of all Sony publishing, but he can't be the only one. You know what I mean? And we have more work to do and put more executives in the C-suite. And one of the things that I had a discussion with some friends that I think is important for us to discuss here is the assimilation to being employees and spending your whole life not knowing the truth. We were kings and queens once. What we've been taught is that our history began when we were slaves. And then we were taught the assimilation of coming to conform to what we are to be African Americans. And anyone listening to me, you were born to be a king, a queen, to serve, and to have purpose in life. And purpose in life is not going through elementary school, high school, and college to be a servant of someone else's dream, or to be an actor or actress in someone else's movie. You have your own movie to create. You have your own purpose in life. And there's nothing.
You are the CEO of the Kevin Lyles.
Yeah. Kevin Lyles.
Right, and then and through that you serve. That's the company that serves all the initiatives that you get put into.
Yep.
I wanted to say something, Kevin, to get you to speak a little bit about this, because a lot of people are talking about it, something we talk about all the time. And then I'm going to ask, I know that you had a meeting with our buddy over there, and he liked you very much. We need more senior executives. We need maybe sell the company, take a piece of it, run the whole thing. We don't have enough black executives in charge of black culture.
Yep.
That's just our reality. We just don't. And you would think the music industry, where everybody's so liberal, the far left, right? No, there's not enough inclusivity. Women and African Americans are we're very lucky. When you came to work, we had the president who was a woman, we had a head of marketing as a woman, the head of promotion that was a woman, we had 5 women that were at the helm of the company at one point. That was what Carmen was the president. So then we had Julie is now the most powerful woman. We empowered them. You empowered them. But our industry, that industry that you're in, and I really want to, contribute to it. They need more diversity and inclusivity. And, if our future is going to be more brown, more conscious, more feminine, we have to do it ourselves. We have to do the work. So, I know that you've always done that. You've always been inclusive, and you never questioned Johnny Walker. Yes, right. You've always included these people.
Come on,
and
John.
you've always put people to work that wouldn't have been put to work somewhere else.
Here's what Johnny Walker. I had to work for Johnny Walker, and then Johnny Walker had to end up working for me. You talking about a strong black woman? You talking about somebody who, and by the way, I still work for Johnny Walker. to this day, I
work for Johnny Walker. You do. Yeah. And that's how you became you. Go ahead.
Still work for, and I wanted to say, Russell, I can speak on the diversity, and when I became the CEO was one of the things that are important to me. And so 50% of my executive team is other. 50% of my executive team is female. And because I can't go out here and speak on this issue and not be taking the very steps in my own organization. And, I've had people, oh, we're going to donate $100 million to this and $100 million to this. I said, listen, more than doing that, put a black person in charge. That'll be the light. That's hundreds of millions of dollars if you give somebody the opportunity. And I'm not saying give everybody the opportunity. I'm saying give the right people the opportunity and watch the world change in front of you, similar to what you guys provided with me. And lastly, on that topic, I have to put some onus on us too. We all want the rock, but that rock is hot, yo. That rock, 3 seconds left, and put that shot up. So you can't, don't say you want it and you prepare your life for it. I knew that rock was hot when y'all came to me in '96, and I was like, no, let me get prepared for that rock. So I had to make sure the tools were.
You were prepared. We knew you were prepared. Kevin, listen, they told me that the thing will cut off. Time flies. I just, you know, we're going to edit this and make this a piece. And what I want to do is I want to have some more conversation with you. And then I want to make it into one piece, right? So we covered a lot of ground, but we didn't cover most of the ground I thought we would cover. We didn't talk about artists. We didn't talk about all the social and political things that you've done and care about, the philanthropic, the social stuff you do in Baltimore in particular, the support for all. There's so much. All the philanthropic and social work alone could be an hour. So I really just would like to, we're having this conversation on Instagram, but when we edit it, I want it to be a decent profile because your work, the body of work that you put out, no one will understand it in certainly not from this discussion. They may know a little bit more about your heart, but they won't know anything about all of the work. Yes, I told a story how you brought Damon and Jay-Z, and I went right for Foxy Brown because I hadn't heard anything like it. You understood why. I was like, I never heard a woman talk like that. Right. I mean, I knew a Brooklyn nigga. I heard Brooklyn voices, right, and through Jay, and then he just kept doing it. And they were two of the most brilliant people we've ever. But that was one example. All the times you brought off artists and say, meet this person. Or when I called and I said, what the fuck is this? I heard on the radio and Leo said, we already signed him. I was like, you signed DMX? I didn't even know. I just heard him on the radio. I was in the radio doing an interview and they put the music on in a break and then it came on. So all these experiences that you have, none of those things are really talked about. So I want to cover some of that.
Listen, here's the thing. This is something we're doing for everybody to see, but this is our regular life whenever we get together. You know, this is a conversation between friends, conversation between people who love each other. And listen, I guess I needed to hear it when you get a text and I'm available to do it and God put us here. But this shouldn't end. This is not, we're not doing this for us, our egos. I want people to know the good, the bad, the ugly, the mistakes, the positive, but also what's more important to me is that for people to hear that even where we are now, we're still a service. You know, you where you are, I am, and I'm not done by no means. I want to continue to build great things.
You're done. You're the record executive of the year 25 years later. So not done. You're at the top of the game, Ken. And it makes me proud and inspired to see that you still keep putting in all this work. Every day I get up and I hear Meg Thee Stallion on the radio here. You hear Indonesian voices, right? Y'all guys know Meg Thee Stallion. I hear Indonesian voices, and Meg Thee Stallion jumps on the radio. Yeah. It's the only thing I hear. Like, in other words, I don't really speak the Bahasa, right? The language. I know a few words, but when Meg comes on, I'm home again. And that's you brought home right here to Bali because we hear Meg Thee Stallion on the radio. Yeah, so anyway, I love you.
Love you.
The only reason I'm breaking is because it's an hour. So I'm going to go, and I love you and give your wife and family my love. And thank you for taking the time and speaking with us, Ken.
All good.
Thank you.
And love you. God bless you guys.
It's still on. So, don't forget. Like, you have to. Oh, I see. For every episode when we start to publish. All right. Well, guys, this is our rehearsal. So I can play with this. I can edit it. I can learn more. I can put footage in, right? We're going to put some of the music in, some of the artists he signed when we get to talk about the music that he signed, because his real input is on the culture, not only on the management, which was a really critical thing, but, you know, making people better, what Kevin does well, makes people better. And that was an inspiration to me, a person who spends more time making other people better than he does trying to shine. Thank you.